session 4A of MROL workshop titled Augmented Virtual Reality and Multimedia Technologies in Education. We have 4 presentations, which are all in the area, in the context of the war. And first of the presentation, titled Investigating the Use of Cloud Labs for Teaching Linux, will be presented by Vasyl Oleksiuk. Please welcome. Share your presentation. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
I can see your presentation, no problem.
Yes, thank you. Dear MROL workshop participant, let me present the result of our research on topic investigation the use of cloud labs for teaching Linux operational system. This research was conducted by me and my co-authors, Oleg Spirin, Olena Головня, and Olena Glazunova. The scientist works in different scientific such as Institute of
Organizations. Yeah.
Digitalization of National Academy of Educational Science, Ukraine, Zhytomyr Polytechnical University, and Kyiv University, named by Boris Grinchenko. The operational system course has always been a fundamental domain in educational or computer science teachers. Currently, competence in working with different operational systems is included as an essential component in many international and national training standards for IT professionals. For example, Chinese scientists allocate some problems of teaching operational system course, such as abstract concept. Operational system composition required explaining many abstract concepts which can be difficult for students to understand and manage. Limited informational literacy. True, students can be understand the principle of kernel primitive explained in the class. They have no idea how to take advantage to these primitives and improve the stability of the application. They don't know how to locate the required primitives and use them correctly. Another problem of operational system course teaching is lack of innovational and enthusiasm. Even though students can make good use of the kernel primitives taught in the class, they lack the enthusiasm to generate innovative application for their final project. Lack of interactional and cooperational. In particular, lacking time for discussion, students may be forced to limit the scale of their final project and may also miss opportunities to interact and cooperate with other students on large projects. One solution to this problem is to organize educational process according to blended learning concept. It means of combining students' theoretical, educational, and practical training. On the one hand, an increasing of effectiveness of their self-study through creative tasks and project methodology. Such approach lies at the basic of the blended learning concept. The main interpretation of the concept are as follows: a learning process which combines traditional and innovative technologies, electronic, distance, mobile learning, and others. Mixed learning combines various pedagogical approaches, for example, constructivism, behaviorism, cognitivism to achieve an optimal effect. Mixed learning combines technologies, teaching facilities, and face-to-face learning under the teacher's supervision. Mixed learning combines traditional teaching with solving hands-on professional tasks. We suggest use cloud labs to implement the blended learning approach. We understand this lab as a digital platform that use virtualization and web interface to create networked virtual objects that mirror real computer systems or networks. Many studies have found that massive open online courses can effectively change the effectiveness of distance learning, blended learning, and traditional face-to-face educational approaches. Therefore, to implement the cloud lab, our cloud lab, we adopt the NDG Linux Essential course, which was originally developed by the Cisco Networking Academy. This course is structured in a MOOC, massive open online courses style format, which enable it to be taught without requiring prior teacher training or accreditation. However, we complete and the entry course ourselves because making it available to students. Following the conclusions, draw from the study of scientists from Zagreb University, certain action have been taken. For example, content of the course has been carefully selected to ensure reasonable workload and expectation from students. Learning outcomes have been taken into consideration to properly correct online and offline learning and to deploy a cloud lab that ensures achieving those outcomes. Fully completing of more course with a certificate was not strictly required. The cloud lab implemented the following technologies and educational resources. You can see there on the slide graphical user interface, mini lectures from original MOOC course in DG Linux Essential, test for students independent work, public cloud services such as Google Workspace for Education or Microsoft 365 public cloud platform. Our cloud laboratory offers students and teachers ubiquitous on-demand access to shared pool of configured computing resources. We propose the structure of cloud laboratory. This laboratory consists from 4 layers: infrastructure, application, access, and user layer. To ensure efficient completing of laboratory tasks, the cloud laboratory incorporates virtual machines from the sandbox or Apache Cloud Stack cloud platform. Now let me to describe some of these situations. Multi-user and how Linux performs tasks such as running process in the background, finding and changing the priority of a process, and forcefully terminated process. Comparison of Linux working in a sandbox and Apache Cloud Stack platform. An example is the investigation of the first parent process name in various Linux distributions and release. They can be described in modular setting where data is stored. Students find the name of the first parent process using as less 2 different commands, for example, ps, stop, or add. And by analyzing the content of the prods directory. They complete this test in Sandbox and Linux virtual machine from a Cloud Web and compare the obtained results. Investigation virtualization tool of Cloud Web is described in module Understanding Computer Hardware. Students get the list names of the virtualization platform under their Linux operational system. They use command system detect virt or other. Alternative ways is to do this a command dmi decode or ls hardware. Students compare the results from different Linux environments and complete a corresponding table. Our previous study examined the disparity in students' academic achievement before and after using the Cloud Web. Most of the participants in the educational experiment observed an increase in the scores. An additional study was conducted to verify the error hypothesis. We investigated whether the students have prior experience in using Linux before enrolling in the course. Additionally, the gender of the respondents was included in the updated survey data. The aim of this study is to evaluate the impact of these factors on the grades achieved in the author's course. We opt for the three-way mixed ANOVA as the methods to access the impact of these factors. Our study has two between subject factors, gender and experience, along with the within subject factors. The purpose of this factor is to investigate various variation between groups over the time. It refers to management that are taken repeatedly. The data contains the following variables: assessment of academic achievement, its depend variable, measured during the course, two between subject factors, gender, levels, male or female, and previous experience in Linux using levels, yes or no. One within subject factors, time, which has two time points, T2 and T3. Course feedback assessment. The names of variables begin with the letters S and A. They will be discussed later. The study groups consisted in equal numbers of males and females. 40% of students had some experience with Linux, with 44% of males and 33% of females having experience. An analysis of averages or median indicates that students previously familiar with Linux recorded and a significant improvement of their academic performance during the second stage of the course. During the third and final stage of the exam, there was almost no visible impact of experience on academic performance of female and male students. However, additional verification is required to confirm this assertion. The statistical analysis of the data was conducted in RStudio environment. In order to use the mixed ANOVA method, we checked that the data meets the following requirements. There are no significant outliers in each time of receiving student grades. The first table presents the result of the identify outliers function, which proved the absence of significant outliers. The dependent variable, student score in T2 and T3 period, should be approximately normally distributed in each row of achievement. We have done this using the Shapiro test function and by building the normality plot, which is displayed on the slide. Homogeneity of variables. The scores variance needs to be even among group of between subject factors. We used the Levin test function. The results are presented in the last table. The first table on the slide contains the results of the called function getANOVA table. As can be seen from this table, there was a statistically significant three-way interaction between gander, experience, and scores obtained by students during repeated measures. The last outcome can be proved by multiple pairwise comparison. We group the data by time and gender and perform pairwise comparison between experience levels, yes, no, using the Bonferroni adjustment. We performed the function pairwise t-test and got the statistically significant p-value. This confirms that there was the impact from previous experience of using Linux in male students in the second stage of course. There was no significant difference between the groups of women with and without experience at both stages of the study. To determine which level of the dependent variable are statistically significant for this interaction, we have performed post-hoc tests, such as two-way interaction tests at each time levels. This test did not provide statistically significant value between gender and experience factor. In addition, this test did not have a correct interpretation for study. Two-way interaction test to inspect the effect of experience on the student's scores at every level of gender. The result of corresponding function analysis test proved that there is a statistically significant relationship between the experience and learning achievement of men in the second stage of study. The last outcome can be visualized using plots of academic achievement score by gender, colored by experience, pasted by time. Having analyzed these plots, we can state some additional outcomes, such as medians indicates an increase in student scores from the second to third stage of the study. This was observed for all groups of students, men, women, with or without experience. The women's experience in the second stage of the study did not have a positive effect on their success. This may be due to their wrong self-assessment. The value of all upper quadrants of assessment from the second to third stage has increased. This indicated that the numbers of students with a high level of academic achievement has increased. Known extreme outliers were observed in the study. They usually indicate students who did not successfully complete the course, received less than 60 points in total. According to result of third stage of the research, the success of students of all groups became almost the same. Extended research, we tried to process some data from the questionnaire and, of course, feedback. The questionnaire is a standard component of the Cisco NDG Linux Essential course. We have analyzed two items of this questionnaire. They are displayed on the current slide. These questions have a lighter scale style. We transform students' answers into a 5-position scale from 0 points vary. This is the certificate not to 4 point very satisfied, completely confident. The scores corresponding to this slide are contained in the data set. Reference was given was given I'm sorry, I will. They answer the first question about level satisfaction. The columns ability, explain open source ability, answer the second question about students' abilities. As the distribution of grades from the questionnaire course feedback are not normal. The Spearman rank coefficients were calculated. They are displayed on the next slide. From the figure, we can draw a few more conclusions. There are no negative values of correlation coefficient in this questionnaire. This means that for all questions, there is a positive relationship between student grades in the course feedback. The greatest positive relationship exists between questions and satisfaction with the laboratory work of the ability of use CLI. Satisfaction with access to virtual machines has positive correlation in self-assessment of all students' abilities. It is hoped that students understand the importance of practical experience using Linux and the confidence the working with this operational system using model cloud technologies. There is no correlation between job satisfaction and online materials. Students may have been dissatisfied with a significant number of additional assignments, including essays. These tasks are individual and increase the amount of the time required to successfully complete the course. In general, this correlation needs some next studies. We can draw the following conclusion to this study. Teacher can use the technological and methodological benefits of a cloud-based learning environment through a combination of face-to-face and online teaching. The analysis of experimental data suggests that practical laboratory exercises are preferred by the students over theoretical ones. Students understand the concept better when a short theoretical lecture is immediately followed by appropriate practical task. These lectures provide a student with an understanding of an ideology of open source software, the fundamental principles of Linux, and development of skills in using CLI and GUI. Operational system course showed that students understand the significance of assignment task. The pedagogical experiment in the course did not provide evidence of impact previously. Therefore, it can be reasonable concluded the author's methodology of using cloud laboratories as a primary factor has a positive effect on exchanges the success rate of studying the operational system Linux by future computer science teachers. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much for a very inspiring presentation. I think that you will have many questions. Please ask the question.
Thank you very much for this really interesting presentation. and we are very glad that you decided to take part, because our author from all our workshops, that's why we are very interested in your progress in developing cloud computing platform, cloud computing environments. Very much interest to this report also. You see, I think that now the differences between male and female in studying programming is rather a fashionable topic. You see, I even I even saw in the conference which we visited last week, we also had for such a report, and they also didn't find any differences. Maybe this question needs further investigation, because sometimes we really observe differences. For example, as for equipment or some hard points, you see, and often really females are not very well in this. But what is for your experience? Do you really don't see much differences in studying programming or something?
Thank you, dear Maria Pavlovna. It's really interesting questions. I suppose that academic achievement of female
Are not less, yes?
are not less
Mhm,
because the course was built according blended learning approach.
mhm,
That's why we don't use the hardware equipment,
mhm,
uh, and most of tasks and learning tools are where in the cloud virtual learning environment.
mhm.
That's mean uh,
That you need everything you need to study, and they may continuously go well lesson after lesson, yes?
yes, female are more responsible and
I see.
working systematically.
I see.
That's why they results not less than
Not less.
male
Mhm.
students. As
I
for me,
see.
it's very good.
It's very good. I also think so. And do you really have a lot of females on such faculties?
Uh, Thank you. In our physical and mathematical faculty of Ternopil National Pedagogical University, there are no many female, but in speciality of computer science,
Mhm,
the girls near 40 or 50 persons of
mhm,
all students.
mhm.
That's also good.
Yes,
Therefore,
yes.
therefore,
Proportion, yes.
girls in computer science uh,
It's
must be.
sure. Yes, this is really very good proportion. Thank you very much. And the interesting observation. Maybe it differs between the specialties, but still, maybe if you have in some specialties fewer girls, but they are really like the specialty, and that's why they study well also. That's interesting, really. And maybe this course is also very well built because it's a Cisco, so I think it maybe really works. It's so uh, and I also wanted to ask you, as the cloud platform, do you mainly use cloud stack or other platform also?
Thank you for your questions. Uh, First of all, for many years,
Mhm,
we have used the Apache Cloud Stack platform,
mhm,
but but
mhm,
Russian invasion of Ukraine
mhm,
has made many problems from accessibility of cloud resources which deployed in our university. Therefore, we deploy another study and deploy another cloud platform which called Proxmox virtual environment and deployed but another hardware resources which does not in Ukraine and this approach can us to use cloud web independently many problem hardware literacy problem internet access problem which draw in Ukraine.
I see. Thank you very much. This is very, very complete and interesting explanation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are a little bit out of time, but if you have more questions, please.
I have a question. Vasily, can you tell more detailed about selection of Linux operating system for teaching?
Thank you, dear Gennady Mikhailovich. It's the Linux operational system choose as one of two primary operational systems for study because it free open source platform and widely distributing in world, for example, for network instances.
Working course of the network. Working course of the network, yeah.
Network.
One of the main and most important operating systems in the world, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you.
Yeah. I see that you are enthusiast of Linux.
It's very pleasure. Nice to meet. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one more question because I'm using Unix systems for 30 years. And this is my main system I'm using, and still try to learn people, my students, Unix, and also we use virtual machines and such techniques as you. And I want to ask you about the lack of enthusiasm when you start to teaching command line interpreter. Why?
Yeah.
What is the source? Maybe the source of the problems is incorrect didactical process organization. By my personal approach is top-down approach. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Powell. It's very important questions. First of all, the operational system course usually teaching in our university to first year grading students. Yes, and these people, students, usually use a graphical user interface, for example, on mobile platforms. That's why
they don't understand the importance of command line.
Extremely, and there are more action. I need to more action to motivate they to use CLI. I say students about Linux, using Linux in routers, switching, and other network equipment. I give them many examples of using Linux in industry, but some of them are not understand why they usually use many computer hardware in automatically mode, and that's why they don't have enthusiasm to learn Linux, unfortunately.
Oh, thank you. Children of Microsoft didn't have enthusiasm to the other systems, and they never will. Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions? More questions? No? So thank you very much for your very interesting and very inspiring presentation. And now I think that we have switched to another one. The presenter Julia Krylova-Grek, and the title of presentation is Content Analysis Program for Media Studies, Case Study of Research into Hate Speech. It's a very important topic in the time of in the time of wartime. Yeah. So please start your presentation, share your presentation.
We have a problem. Now Julia is coming for Canada, and
Okay.
now not possibility to present. And
okay.
She sent video presentation of report. Can we see this presentation?
Yes, but I haven't this presentation.
I can open presentation.
Okay.
And I may comment, maybe because I am a friend and very long, for many years co-author of Julia Grek. So maybe I make some comments or answer some questions, or maybe transfer the questions to Julia Grek if I wouldn't be able to answer.
My name is
Okay.
Julia Krylova-Grek, and it gives me a great pleasure to present the result of the research at this productive conference. And I would like to tell about content analysis programs and how it's possible to use for humanitarian study. As an example, I tell about the research of hate speech that was spread in Russian media before, actively spread in Russian media before the war. Content analysis is a useful and effective tool that helps carry out humanitarian research. Content analysis helps to collect and systematize data for quantitative and qualitative research. And if we are talking about the core, the base for content analysis, I would like to mention such name and Laswell. He is considered an establisher of content analysis methodology. His model of communication was used for creating programs for content analysis, and it includes Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julia Krylova-Grek, and it gives me a great pleasure to present the result of the research at this productive conference. And I would like to tell about content analysis programs and how it's possible to use for humanitarian study. As an example, I tell about the research of hate speech that was spread in Russian media before, actively spread in Russian media before the war. Content analysis is a useful and effective tool that helps carry out humanitarian research. Content analysis helps to collect and systematize data for quantitative and qualitative research. And if we are talking about the core, the base for content analysis, I would like to mention such name and Laswell. He is considered an establisher of content analysis methodology. His model of communication was used for creating programs for content analysis, and it includes 5 questions. Who is communicating? What says, what message, what need to be communicated, which channels is going to be used, who is the message intended for, and what effect does the campaign need to have. And as any methodology, any methods, it has some big advantages and some disadvantages. And all the disadvantages were taken into consideration in future while creating other content analysis programs. And 3 main disadvantages of this program that it's no feedback, and because it's a linear model of communication, so the receiver, the audience, receive information only from the one source and no feedback, no exchanging information. And maybe it was earlier when was the era of TV. Now we have social networks and many other tools, and now it's a little bit out of date when media don't receive any reaction from audience. And also like noise not mentioned. What is noise? Noise refers to the influence that distorts the message and they make it more difficult for receiver to reconstruct the source original intentions. And nowadays there are 3 types of programs of content analysis: for qualitative content analysis, for quantitative content analysis, and both for qualitative and quantitative content analysis. And some examples of content analysis: there are free content analysis which can be used without any payment, such as Avega, Yoshi Coder, Sentis, and also content analysis which are quite expensive. It usually paid by university, such as Maxda and Viva, QDA Minor. And also content analysis that don't suppose any machine, any program. So this types of content analysis is quantitative content analysis, and it can be made only by human. So and this type of content analysis was specially developed and used in case studies that will be represented at the conference. Case studies investigating of hate speech in Russian media outlets was done in the period of 2014-2021. It includes 2 programs. Quantitative content analysis is a program, and qualitative, it's made by hand. It's method of psycholinguistic analysis of text. And I would like also to mention that all this was made in the collaboration with Crimean Human Rights Group in the international project Free Voices promoting independent media in the target region. And the analyst of the Crimean Human Rights Group was a developer of content analysis that was made on the base of Python language. So altogether, case study consists of 4 steps. The first steps is quantitative content analysis, the selection of keywords, the selection or the choose of period of search, choose sites for monitoring. And step 2 is quantitative content analysis. It selected text according to the keywords, periods, and sites. Next step is the qualitative psycholinguistic content analysis and the analyzing if there is hate speech in the text or not. And we also see that hate speech can be divided into direct, indirect, and manipulative. And the next step is conclusion, the results of the study. So let's consider content analysis program. You can see interface of this program. and we are interested in online resource name and also key units and search period. And we usually choose 1 month search period. It's most convenient for future analysis. And also for content analysis, were selected 10 media outlets that are very popular at the territory of Russia and also occupied Ukraine territory. You see that the orange color is the number of visitors from Ukraine. And some more words about keywords and phrases. So the monitoring and selecting of keywords and phrases was done between 2014 and 2017, and altogether it was gathered more than 400 words and word combinations, and according to all this material, we created the hate speech dictionary, and it's unique because some words are absolutely newly created. It's impossible to find this in any dictionary. So sometimes we can see changing the meaning of concepts using a lot of euphemism archetypes of the Second World War. And these words, these key units can be understandable only for Russian or Ukrainian speakers. So that's why we translated this dictionary into English with explanation in order it can be understandable for foreigners. So after text were selected, it was subjected to the thoroughly psycholinguistic analysis. And we analyze linguistic means, non-linguistic tools, logical argumentations, fact-checking. Also, we take into consideration hashtags that was under the headlines, and we also take into consideration which words, which expressions, which abstracts were bold in the text. And as a result, we see that in the most cases, Russian media outlets before the war prefer use the manipulative and indirect hate speech. And maybe we can explain it by the attempt of Russian journalists to make illusion of compliance of journalistic standards. And this division into 3 parts of hate speech was made as a result of our research. And also very interesting detail that altogether were selected 1,248 texts, and only 550 publications were with hate speech. And it can be explained by 2 reasons. The first of all, the program scans all page, including not only text, but also comments. And a lot of hate speech were consistent in the comments. So as we analyze only text, these publications, these pages weren't included into the research. And also some texts, approximately 1%, not much, really included these words, but without hate speech, because these words has a direct meaning. For example, down about the people who are really ill with this syndrome, Down syndrome, or fascist in the publications about some event of the Second World War. And the result of the research were made public in Ukrainian media, and also at the first Black Sea Security Conference in Bucharest. And also it was published such report, international report about hate speech in online media, publicizing events in Crimea. And that's all I would like to tell you. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks so much. It was very interesting for me. Maria, please.
Good morning,
Question.
Maybe
ladies and
I may
gentlemen.
maybe
Yeah.
I may
Uh,
comment a little bit
Pleasure to
because
present
I know very well works of
Yes,
Julia
yes.
and also we were co-authors.
I would like to
And-
tell about content analysis program
maybe to
Stop the
demonstration.
presentation.
event study.
Sorry.
Okay. And you see that 2 years ago we together implemented the course in media literacy and in media culture, and Yulia Grek then proposed and studied the digital tools for detecting fakes in imaging, video, and other information resources that we have in internet. That was very important for our workshop because now we are in the educational environment which is open, and everybody who learn they use open resources, and that's why the tools to somewhat to cope with this information which is not true, which is manipulative, fakes, and so on. It is very important topic. We were very interesting, and in this research, it is even for me a lot of new information. We can see that for this 2 years. Yulia made another new research, and she developed the topic of hate speech, which she considered before, and now this research is complete. It is for me also this is new information because our participants are now in different different countries and all over the world to see. I were not aware of these results, and now I'm very much interested that despite the fact that we are in different countries, in different places, our participants continue their work, and we have such interesting investigation which Yulia made during these 2 years.
Okay, thank you. I think that I don't know if she knows Professor Gogołek from Poland, Włodzimierz Gogołek.
Gogolek, tak?
Yeah.
Gogolek, tak?
On the chat I published information about publications from 20.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay.
They implemented such a system in practice, which can predict results of parliamentary elections in Poland, and is used in Poland in other aspects. I don't want to say on for publicity, because and this technology uses big data and data mining technologies to analyze the network's informations and classify the information and in the end making conclusions about what's happened and what is going on in the networks, for example. The works are very interesting, so I think that I strongly suggest you to contact with Professor Gogołek.
Of course.
And talk to him, because in the Polish pedagogy, there are other peoples which are very interested in the area. For example, Professor Siemieniecka from Toruń. She is also, I don't know if she is part of his group at the moment, but she is very interested in the area of media analysis, of network analysis in the context of information published. The technology is very interesting. So I strongly should suggest you to read the articles and analyze what they have done. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'll pass over all this very valuable information to Julia, which she is in close contact with us and has very much interest in all these questions. So it is very important for her. Thank you very much. I'll transfer it.
Thank you very much. Next question, please. So if there is no questions, more questions, so let's switch to another presentation. Witali Bazurin, Olga Czaszesznikowa, Evgenia Karpenko, Oleg Purski, and Valery Kozlov. Elements of computer graphics in the process of learning the basics of programming in the Python language in secondary school. Presenter Witali Bazurin, please, welcome. Share your presentation, and the stage is yours.
Please, are you see the presentation?
Yes, I can see it.
Well, the topic of our report is elements of computer graphics in the process of learning the basics of programming in the Python language in secondary school. The problem of teaching pupils the basics of programming is relevant nowadays. According to the state standard of basic secondary education, one of the main tasks of school computer science course is the formation of pupils' ability to develop algorithms for solving practical problems using modern programming tools. Therefore, the learning of programming elements is included into the secondary school program, and algorithmization and programming are cross-cutting content line of the School of Computer Science
please switch off camera
at
because
your stage.
We cannot hear you. The sound is a little bit, there is disruption in the sound. Please switch off camera. Turn off your camera because low quality of the sound. Maria, can you help?
Well, I can't change.
Switch off camera. Who can help? Please switch off your camera. I can see you, but I can't hear you because of the low quality of the sound. Because I think that network is not good. Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
Work in the meeting. I can't work in the meeting.
It works correctly. Please switch off your camera. Camera. Switch off. Off. Wyłącz kamerę. No. And share your
пропонує
presentation.
виключити вашу камеру, да, і включити презентацію.
Well. Well, do you see the slide?
Yes, it's much better sound.
Do you hear my voice?
Yes, your sound is very good.
At first stage of learning programming, Pupils create the simplest programs in the Scratch environment, and starting from the 7th grade, they begin learning the Python programming language. For an wise programmer, learning Python is a well-founded language because of relative simplicity of its syntax. But unlike Scratch, commands in Python are written in text form and are not made up of blocks. At this stage, pupils experience certain difficulties in creating programs. Many pupils are demotivated because of that. As a result, the pupil's success in learning of the basic of programming drops significantly. The Python language has a number of advantages for beginners compared to other programming languages. The simplicity of the syntax, the presence of the total graphic model. Therefore, when learning Python, the teacher can pay more attention to the algorithm of the problem and not to features of the syntax. Ukrainian and foreign scientists have researched various aspects of learning bash programming in general and programming in Python language in particular. The psychological pedagogical principles of teaching programming to secondary school pupils and pupils of higher educational institutions were studied. The purpose of article is to theoretically substantiate the content of programming tasks when visualize the execution of an algorithm by a program in the Python language and to determine the impact of the developed task or the formation of pupils' ability to develop programs in the Python language. Analytical review. A large number of scientists have studied the program of learning the basics of programming. They are shown on the slides. Uh, the research hypothesis consists in the assumption that the use of tasks with graphic content will contribute to the formation of students' abilities to solve programming problems. In the process of research, the following questions were answered. How does the graphic content of programming tasks affect the formation of pupils' ability to develop programs in the Python language? The independent variable in this study was the content of tasks of the basics of programming. In the control group, the content of task of basics of programming was taken from the textbook. In the experimental group, the content of the task were developed by the authors of this article. The dependent variable is the level of pupils' ability to solve programming problems. The level of development of the ability to develop programs in Python language was evaluated as follows. 0, complete lack of ability to develop programs. 1, low level of ability to develop programs. 2, average level of ability to develop programs. And 3, the high level of ability to develop programs. The pedagogical experiment consists of 3 stages. Ascertaining stage. At this stage, the control and experimental groups were formed. The diagnostic apparatus of the study was specified. The diagnostics of the level of formation of the ability to solve programming problem in the Python language was performed. The results of diagnostic of the control and experimental groups were compared according to the Pearson criterion. The stage lasted 2 weeks. The formative stage. At this stage, the control group had classes according to the methodology recommended in school textbook. In the experimental group, classes were conducted according to the method proposed by the authors of the article using computer graphics. This stage lasted 3 months. Control stage. At this stage, the levels of formation of algorithmic skills of the pupils of the control and experiment groups were diagnosed, and they are compared according to the Pearson criterion. This stage lasted 2 weeks. This slide shows the criteria for evaluating the level of development of the ability to solve programming problems. The Pearson test was used to compare two samples. At the ascertaining stage, the control and experimental groups were formed. Students of the seventh grades of gymnasium number 1 and secondary school number 7 of Sumy took part in the experiment. The age of the students is 12, 19 years. The number of students in experimental groups is 27. The number of students in control groups is 27 too. To diagnose the level of formation of the ability to solve programming problems, pupils were asked to solve 3 programming problems, one problem each of low, medium, and high levels. The level of development of the ability to solve problems was determined by the maximum complexity of correctly solved problems. The results of the ascertaining stage are shown in this slide. Statistical processing of the results of experiment is shown on this slide. The calculated value of Pearson test is equal than less than critical value of Pearson criterion. Therefore, the identified differences are not significant, and the level of development of the ability of solve programming problems is about the same. Based on the analysis of results of the ascertaining experiment, it can be concluded that the level of development or ability to solve programming problems in the Python language is similar among the pupils of the control and experimental groups. Therefore, it was advisable to conduct the experiment in control and experimental group. At the formative stage of the experiment, Python programming classes were held in the control and experimental groups. In the control group, classes were conducted using the tasks given in the textbook. The lessons were conducted by teachers. In the experimental group, pupils were held using the task we developed, containing computer graphics, which were developed by the authors of the article. Uh, in the experimental group, the subject were studied in the following sequence. First, studying the basics methods and functions of the total object. Second, drawing figures using the algorithmic structure of following. Third, studying the algorithmic structure of repetition. Fourth, drawing figures in which the algorithmic structure of repetition occurs and several figures of the same type. Fifth, using a cycle to draw several figures of the same type. Sixth, criterion creation of subprogram for drawing a figure. Seventh, use of routines for drawing several figures. Eighth, reading data from the list, color size using branching. Ninth, setting the trajectory of the total movement using a list and a line. 10th, reading from data files for drawing figures. The results of the control stage of the experiment are shown on the slide 23. The results of control the calculated value of Pearson test is equal to 14 and bigger than critical value of Pearson criterion. The results of the control section indicate that the level of development of ability to develop programs in the Python language among pupils of the experimental group is higher than among pupils of the control group, and these differences are significant. Threats to validity and study limitation. It is necessary to note some points that relate the conditions in which the research was carried out. First, these are small control and experimental groups. Secondly, the questions of pupils' motivation to learn programming remained outside of the scope of the study. Third, the level of students' mathematical abilities remained outside of the study. Fourthly, the intelligence level of the students was not investigated. Conclusions. The conducted research shows that the problem of effective teaching of programming basics to pupils has not yet been completely solved. One of the ways to increase the effectiveness of teaching pupils the basic of programming in this section of the kind of educational tasks during the execution of which students use the built-in tool of the Python language. As a result of the study, it was found that the application of a system of programming tasks that use the built-in computer graphics tools of the Python language contributes to a more effective learning of the main algorithmic structures and the main data types of the Python language, and therefore to a more effective formation of the ability to develop programs in the language of Python. Prospects for further research are the development of a system of Python programming tasks aimed at the use of built-in and additional tools of the Python language, and the introduction of this system of tasks into the practice of working groups and institutions of general secondary education. The developed task can be further developed in the following directions. First, complication of the problem-solving algorithm. Second, creation of screen forms using widgets from the PQT library. Third, construction of three-dimensional models and animation. Thank for attention.
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. Please, questions. Want to ask the question?
I have a question. Can you explain how you form control and experimental groups from two various secondary institutions, Lyceum and ordinary secondary school?
On the ascertaining stage, we tested pupils during they solved programming problems, but these problems were low, medium, and high level. After that, we put some pupils from one school and some pupils from second school in the control group, and some pupil of first school and some pupil of second school to the experimental group. After that, we solved their indicators by Pearson criterion, and
Bidankia.
I fail my thinking.
Okay,
Okay, so,
thank you.
so thank you very much. Who next? Please ask the question. I have one question about an approach. You used algorithmical approach, so you try to teach algorithms, yeah. But in everyday's life, in practice, the algorithmical approach is rarely used. Mainly used is object-oriented programming, and I want to ask you if you explain how the real program works and how they are developed and designed using object-oriented approach. You have on the slide 21 the sentence that turtle object do something. Have you explained object-oriented approach and how to implement algorithms in the object-oriented approach, for example, in the class or in the object? Where is the algorithm? Because as you shown at the slide 21, you have a turtle which is an object, and this approach is object-oriented approach, in fact.
Thanks for question. During our research, we used algorithm approach and some elements of object-oriented approach, because during the solving problems by the model turtle, pupils operated with object turtle.
Yeah.
Object turtle has some methods which were used by
communicate with
pupils.
the environment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, please.
Well, and used the methods of object turtle, and during solving problems, they can create a new object turtle, one or two or three new object.
Then they can understand the idea of object-oriented programming. Yeah.
Yes, they not
But
they not
because there's a gap in learning algorithms. If you start learning programming from algorithms, then it is very difficult to change your way of thinking and effectively using object-oriented approach in practice. It's almost impossible, because I think, in my opinion, that you have to start from the object-oriented programming, then go to the algorithms, not in the opposite order. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. Before the algorithmization, pupils studied the object turtle, some of their methods, and some of their tools.
Okay, some very interesting presentations. I see that slowly, that the feedback which is which you get from the students because they program the turtle and they see effects of their work at the same time is very important for people, because for students, because from the pedagogical point of view, the feedback is one of the most important thing. First of all is to learn students how to learn, then construct content, and when you conduct didactical process, you have to give them feedback, and this feedback increase effectiveness of the didactical process. So the way you do everything is very well, but I think that that you have to put to use more oriented object-oriented approach in your research and in your design of the didactical process than algorithmization. Yeah, because even if I teach students from in pedagogical sciences, and I teach them methodology of programming or programming, I start using or explain object-oriented approach, then we try to use a Scratch, for example, which is very common used in Poland in schools, and I explain what does it mean, this approach, what is the idea of the approach, object-oriented approach, and then we programming very simple stories in Scratch, and then switch to artificial intelligence, for example, and programming the most difficult programs using no, many technologies. Yeah, and it is done for students of pedagogy. Yeah, here in Poland, in my university, nowadays academy in Piotrków Trybunalski. Okay, I can hear. Okay, thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. I think that we have to switch to another one. The title of the presentation is Exploring Flexibility, Innovative Approaches and Transactional Distance in an Art Therapy Course, Promoting Learning and Managing Stress. Presenter Katerina Bodnar. Please welcome. Share your presentation and start your presentation, please. I can't hear you. Switch on your phone. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I see.
It's okay.
Just I need to, or I have to find, because usually I use Zoom and a little bit. Oh, okay. I just. I think we have not enough time for presentation, just 8 minutes left. So I just briefly
No
explain
problem.
research.
We'll exit time.
Yeah, let me introduce myself. I specialize in mental health tech, and it's like a small case of my research, because I'm a visiting professor and professor of art therapy, and we combine some tools such AI in art therapy course, and also some other IKT tools in this course. In a high flux learning in the work conditions for our Ukrainian students. So, okay, if we speak about our background, just briefly, I need to explain that we have some special issues for our students, such as the students who are displacement or relocation of universities since 2014. And and HyFlex learning model has risen for many universities and just popular for many universities in Ukraine nowadays. And in the same time, we need to control the quality of our education and our didactics in our online learning and HyFlex learning as a professors, because we should mention that we need to control their hard and soft skills. And that is why we implement 3 ideas in our design of course. Our first idea, it's a statement about student teaching assessment, and we implement this idea from Stanford University. They have really powerful background how to analyze online and HyFlex courses in this way. And we use some tools that was recommended for this, such as the transactional distance scale, Zhang scale. And I should mention there is these 3 ideas how we can control the progress of our students. It's like after class evaluation, middle semester evaluation, and in the end of semester evaluation of the all courses, just successful or unsuccessful course. And we focused in this research on a dropout index, because if some students skip our course, it's like some unsuccessful teaching for us as the professors, and we need to speak of to think about or reckon about transformation our teaching some details of teaching. Just 3 statements about art therapy course standards. In art therapy, I think all participants now are not psychologists, so just briefly explain that in art therapy, it's like a clinical psychotherapy course. It's not about drawing or sculpture, it's about psychological or mental transformation, and we usually focused on reframing, reforming, and reclaiming as a process, and we should explain and teach student how to do this. And reframing, it's like a shifting perspective to explore alternative meanings and emotions in art, just change their negative thoughts patterns to their natural or positive way. Reforming is it's transforming and reshaping artistic expression to promote personal growth and self-expression. And usually after 2 years of war, I can mention just active war, because we have more years of war. We need to mention that some students just skip the participation via Zoom and use some specific tools how to ignore professor, and that is why it's sometimes hardly can I explain how to manage with their hard skills, such as their forming problems with their self-evaluation. And that is why online tools is really helpful for warming up and just core ideas of topic they study. And reclaiming, it's empowering individuals to reconnect with their authentic selves. It's like a self project for students, and usually it's their home assignment. Uh, if you want, you can read more in our article. I just skip this slide and mentions that we focused on a design of our course design in 3 ideas. First idea, it's an empathic approach of design when we really grounded or reliable with the condition of our students. Some of them cannot use laptops because they migrate somewhere just with their phones. It's hardly to explain some details of work just by phone, and it's a really super flexible teaching for professional education, and that is why we need to combine some synchronous. I hope am I right? And asynchronous style of learning. And also we combine some online course on their platforms such as a Coursera if they cannot participate in our course. Secondly, for our student, we use transactional distance as their scale that analyze successful or unsuccessful end of their course, and we explain what it means. It's like self-evaluation. And last but not least, for HighFlex approach, there is a lot of limitations because for R2RP, we based on some sensory sensitivity when students can contact with the materials such as clay or paints. In an online approach, it's impossible, and that is why we use some online tools for that. That was recommended by USA R2RP Association. Okay, but the core idea was not only on our online tools, but also on their communication in their breakout rooms. Because if students just listen and use these tools, they have no connection in a group, and it's some kind of problem for expression their thoughts and insights as a future psychotherapists. And that is why we design our course with a special timing when they're warming up. It's like a general part of hour. It's like a 20 minutes when they should communicate and use some tools in a group. And after we use a theoretical topic, and it's like a student to student interaction, give us really a high level of participation in a course. And now it's like a really friendly type of course. Our therapy is super popular for students, but still, if we use just theory, we can create super boring course. So our key point question was how we can use online tools in our art therapy design course, and what methods can be employed to evaluate the transactional distance and their satisfaction levels while utilizing an integrate platform. Actually, we use Moodle as our official platform for study. I just need to say that we use two type of surveys. It was Zenk scale and also Sherbitsky scale for analyzing their students' stress level of stress, because we need to understand how they understand theoretical material and how it's combined with their stress level and reaction on VAR conditions. So, last but not least, I should mention that we use Google Forms because it's easy to collect some data by Google Forms. It's super friendly platform for our students and understandable. And if we speak about our result, our numbers, so I should mention that it was not only one department, it was 5 departments, because it's a big course for 5 departments, who for students who specialize in psychology. Previously, it was girls, but also 22% of guys. And okay, most fruitable results that I want to highlight. First of all, our 140 students, just 139 students, usually they have a really high level of stress. Previously, they had really high level of stress. If you see their diagram, and if we analyze the details of this stress, first of all, they have negative thoughts about everything. It was like a first problem, and they skip theoretical part because they focus on themselves, on their reflection, and that is why really low reactions on some complicated topics, such as some philosophical part or etc. Secondly, you see that it's like a half of students, one half of students have the problem with the memory, and if I check every time what they can remember after classes. Hardly can they explain some complicated part of theory in their trauma or etc. And that is why Quizlets and other tools that super popular but still really useful we use for repetition of theory. Lastly, it was their passivity and desire to transfer responsibility to someone else, and that is why students focus on a professor and skip group communication, and it's not good result for especially for psychologists, because they focus on personal communication, and we need to train these skills as a professional hard skills. And problem with concentrations, and that is why our timing was really fruitful with some different exercises with online tools every time, such as AI, imaginations and transformation some pictures, and it helps to boost our activity on the classes. Also, they have a behavioral problems, such as problems with the lack of time, and like a big home assignment was impossible to realize, and that is why we need to, in a work condition, to simplify some home assignments, such as an essay sometimes, or big projects, to, for example, multiple choice testing, or just Quizlets, that it's possible uh, uh, to do for student in the work conditions. And also was a lot of emotional and psychological symptoms, such as an anxiety and anger and gloomy mood, as a background of study. And also it was their pain in various part of body, and increased fatigue, for 64% of our sample, and it means like a really passive participant that sometimes hardly to launch into our activities. And that is why we use transactional distance twice in a middle term survey and the end of our course to analyze how to change our satisfaction of course. And I think we had a really nice results because generally we have a really student satisfaction was on a Likert scales from 1 to 5. It was 4. It's a really nice level of satisfaction. And their learning experience and achievements was similar. It was 4 for majority of students. However, I can show how to look like these online tools, such as, for example, Quick Draw for warming up. And you need to draw quickly some picture or use for children mandala or playback theater as a demonstration. And it's online tools from American Association, but in Ukraine it's really simplified tools, just simple tools that we need to develop as our own practice, I think. So there are more we have some decrease in our satisfaction of students satisfaction, such as their such as the student transactional distance, because a lot of students mention that they have a fear and fatigue when they speak with each other in the breakout rooms after 2 years of COVID and after 1.5 years of war. Hardly can they use some communicative skills in a group, and we need to train and focus on this idea because it's a boost in general in our course in their satisfaction. And they was unsatisfied in their content because course based on Moodle platform, and some students was really disappear or just angry because there was a lot of problems with this platform. And after electricity problem wasn't connection with the platform and etc. And that is why more low more small level of satisfaction. So it's an artificial intelligence program that transforms some metaphor. I hope it's understandable. They use some metaphor and we transform into the picture, and it was really a fruitable topic because it's some kind of psychoanalysis with combination with AI. And it was most interesting, by the way, for last year students because it was like a big hype about GPT chat. And if we see our last slide, I can mention that was really some topics was really productive and some topics wasn't productive for our students, such as their sand-play therapy and online tool from Berkeley University. We use platform from Berkeley University with the sand play therapy and these tools. I just show you it's really easy to use, but for student was super nice. Not this, but this with their playback theater was something insightful, and they analyze these topics like are helpful for their future skills. Also, they was really satisfied by using AI as their therapeutic tool as a future psychologist. And last but not least, some Google Quick Draw that we showed before was also some tools that was fruitable for online working as a school psychologist or future school psychologists for our students, because they are bachelor and they should work in school after bachelor. So I think it's enough for my presentation because we have no time anymore. And if you have some questions, I just wait for your response.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, questions.
One question. What program resource you used for show online methods of art therapy?
You mean
What computer
I
program
understand
you
what
used for show online methods of art therapy?
Okay, there is some recommendations of art therapy, as I mentioned before. Art therapy American Association, they have a special online platform with developed tools for different topics. It's a kind of different tools such as quick painting, some theater for children or mandala painting and etc. It's like a big platform with a Padlet, and you can use different tools for your course design.
What
And
name of platform?
it's I can share the link, but it's from Berkeley University project platform, and also we use applications from a Google store, such as the AI um, programs, free AI programs that transform metaphors. And it was the task of student to find free online tools also as their future instruments for work.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much. Who next, please? And I have one question. What is a relationship because stress and trauma? As we know, trauma is harmful for human being. And do you take into account traumatized people, for example?
It's a nice question, but it's hardly to explain
In few words.
briefly these details. Not all students in a trauma conditions, and we can focus in a learning environment just on some small details of their anxiety or fatigue, but it's not a real therapeutic process, and that is why for healthy conditions we just use self-reports and analyze the level of stress, because they sometimes they stuck and cannot think about something, and it's like a kind of shock or depression. And that is why as the professors, as the teachers, we need to understand that sometimes we need to slow down our educational process to simplify our tasks. And this self-evaluation gives to us some feedback, because if we just use a lot of tasks for students, it's some kind of violence and traumatization, because some professors just over tasks to students. It's too much in our conditions.
It's very important what you said. So thank you very much for your answer. Who next? Any questions? If there are no questions, thank you very much for your very impressive and interesting presentation. So it was the last presentation. So thank you very much for all participants, and I close the session for A. See you on the next sessions. Thank you very much. Greetings from Poland.
Thank you for your headline.
Okay.